it's just best just from if I'm going to put this on YouTube, um, it's best that your face not be on it, if that makes sense to you guys all. So, yeah, I'm recording. Okay, so we're going to jump into things. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to talk about, give me a second, pull up the right thing here. All right, first chapter out of your textbook, okay? So I would like you all I don't know, I guess I'll take a white pen here. I'd like you go ahead and copy this down, and I will just kind of pause here and stall for you. Chapter 1.2, Venn diagrams and how to do fractions on calculators. Okay, that's the first thing we're gonna learn. And then after this one, we'll learn about how to put things on a graph. So we're gonna learn how to do that, okay? All right, so let me do this, sorry. Make sure I let everybody in the room. All right. So yeah, you're copying this down. The title of this chapter is chapter 1.2. Now, just so you know, if you would spend $90-some on the textbook, this would be the first chapter in the textbook. It actually starts with chapter 1.2, and it's on Venn diagrams and how to do fractions on a calculator. On calculations, what did I just calculators? Yeah. All right, so you're all drawing a picture on your notes here. It says Venn diagram, and you're drawing a couple of big circles, and you got some numbers and a box around it, and this example comes right out of your text. That and to remind you, what I'm doing is my lecture notes here, but they're also in Canvas in recordings that you take notes on. That's like you came to my class at Everett Community College or out at Monroe at Lake Ty on a Monday, Wednesday night or Tuesday, Thursday night. And I teach you this stuff on the whiteboard and you copy down my notes. Okay, that's what we're doing right now, in case you're confused or wondering, what are we doing? Okay, you in a regular class setting, I would have you copy down the notes on the board, and I would talk about them, and you'd have your notes next to my notes on how to do things. Okay, so let me see here. I'm going to plug something in. I'm going to unplug my camera. I don't have enough ports on my laptop here, so I gotta unplug something in order to have everything running here. So that's why I kind of did that. So all right, having done that, yes. All right, I'm kind of stalling here as you copy this down. All right, let's talk about Venn diagrams. A guy named Venn kind of came up with the idea of a way of comparing things, and so you have something called a Venn diagram. In fact, I'm going to pick a different color here. I'm going to go green here. So if I was comparing, say, dogs to cats, okay, and I wanted to make a comparison, like what do they have that's similar and what do they have that's different, okay? What I would probably do is, I'm just going to admit the Hera. If I was asked to write an essay on that and compare, what they have similar and what they have different, a Venn diagram is really helpful because I can compare what they have that are different. Dogs bark, okay, and cats meow. And what do they have the same? Well, they both have kind of wet, cold noses, okay, or they have some things in common, okay, lots of things in common. So that's why a Venn diagram is helpful in science and in mathematics, because it allows you to see the differences and the similarities very clearly in one visual aid, okay? In this particular example, if they ask you, list all of the prime and even numbers. A prime number is a number nothing goes into it, like 3, 5, and 7 here, okay? These are prime numbers because nothing divides into it except for itself. And so list all the prime and even numbers 1 through 8. All right. On my chart here, over here, I've got, these are my prime numbers, which I should have labeled this for you guys. So you can copy this down here, okay? I got my prime numbers here, and then I got my even numbers in this chart, in this circle here. Now, if I take and put them on the separate sides here, in the middle, and you're kind of learning a new concept here, I've got the number 2. Now, the reason why it's in the middle is because it is technically, it falls in the even circle. It is an even number, okay? But by definition, it is also a prime number, okay? Because it is a number that the only thing that goes into 2 is itself, okay? Nothing else goes into 2. So by definition, it's also prime. So that's why it falls into both circles here, okay? All right, so that's what a Venn diagram does, is it allows you to look at what's different between the two and what's the same between the two things, okay? Now, just so you know, in case you're learning a little extra thing here, what in the world's going on with this 1 hanging out here all by itself? Just so you know, technically they say that it's not a prime number. I don't know why. To me, it seems like it should be, but it's not even and it's not primes. So if you ever see a chart like this where they have a box around it all, like I have this box here, and you have something outside of the chart, what that means is that thing you put outside the chart, that 1, does not fall into either category, prime or even. It falls outside of. It's a number between 1 and 8, but it doesn't fall into the either prime or even category. Okay, so that's where you'd stick it, is outside of the circles. All right, so that's a Venn diagram. Now, if they ask you guys in this class, if they said, you know what we'd like you to do is, we'd like you to make comparisons between high school, or let's choose something different. Let's take comparisons between the Middle East and the United States, okay? And so if we had the United States here and we had the Middle East, I'm just going to say ME, okay? And you got all kinds of countries, you know, several countries in the Middle East. And you wanted to talk about what's different between them. You have different fashion, you have different music, you have different, all kinds of different things that go on that are different in the food, oftentimes as a whole. And then you have similarities. There are people from the Middle East that live in America, and there's a lot of Americans that share similar faith and similar culture in America. So it'd be a great way to talk about the differences and similarities, okay? You might be asked to do that in your homework. By the way, for your homework this week, I want you to listen to this carefully. If it asks you to do something, because you're just supposed to give me your answers, you don't have to type the problem or how you got everything. You're just going to give me your answers. For your homework this week, if you you get to something, you realize I don't know how to write that on a Word or a Mac Pages or a Google Doc. There are ways you can go up to the top and press on insert, and you can insert circles and draw things, but you could just type, I couldn't draw this, okay, as your answer. And I'll see that when I grade it and recognize that, yeah, that was that problem, you had to draw something and you couldn't do that, okay? There are ways to insert and put in shapes and make it happen, but don't worry if you can't. I don't want you spending hours trying to create shapes on a Microsoft Word or MacBook Pages or a Google Doc. All right. All right, so that's a little bit about Venn diagrams, okay? That's what they are. Now, I'm going to move on to the next concept. I'm going to give you a couple of reminders here. So this is something you don't really have to copy down here, but I do want to talk about a couple of these reminders here for my class, okay? First reminder is there are 2 kinds of homework in my class, okay? There's something that I call the book homework, okay? That is, and it will say right in Canvas, it'll say book homework, okay? I'm going to just abbreviate here. And it'll be like chapter 1.2, okay? When you click on that in my Canvas class, in fact, I'm going to go and show you right now, okay? I'm just going to go right there and show me here. There's your class right here, home. Yeah, assignments, is to click on assignments. So you guys by now recognize that this is what it looks like when you come into my class. Okay, so we're in week 2 here. Okay, book homework. So first, I have a video lecture on how to do things. Here's the book homework. Again, you click on that, and then there will be a PDF document here. Okay, when you click on this homework document, and it opens up, and it looks like it'll actually download. Is it downloading? There it goes. It's down here in the corner here on me. It looks like this. Okay. Now, here's what you do with this. You're going to do only the odds 1, 3, and then 5, etc. 7. Okay. It asks you to add problem number 1. So, what you're going to do is on your own Microsoft Word document or Mac document or Google Doc, you'll type your name, class, chapter 1.2, and then you'll type number 1 and give me your answers for A and B. A equals this, B equals this. Go down, you'll type number 3, type your answers, okay? You don't have to show all your work, just type your answers. I want to see that you got the right answer, okay? That's how you do your book homework. Now, if I can go back to I'm right here. I'm here. All right. So that's the book homework. WAMAP homework is the online stuff where you go to wamap.org and then you do the odd problems. So if I opened up a lesson in WAMAP and if it was lesson 1.2 in WAMAP, okay, and I opened up an actual lesson, I'm in the problems, there's like a blue lesson, you click on that blue lesson, then it actually opens up to problems, okay? So you got one, you'll say like problem number 1 or something like this, okay? All right, you do that problem, okay, and then you can skip it and go to problem number 3, and then skip the next one and go to problem number 5, etc. That's what I mean by doing the odds in WAMAP, okay? You're doing the odds in your book homework and in WAMAP, odds only. Now, if you want like extra points at the end of the quarter, when I go to grade your WAMAP and you decide, I want more practice, I'm going to do a lot of the evens too, that can only help your grade because I'll see that you have basically more than 100%. If you got enough of them all right, you'd have more than 100%. I give you some bonus points. Okay. All right. Let me move on. Oh, next reminders. Before the exams, okay, and I said this last week, I'm going to say it again. Don't miss the review, okay? What we're doing right now tonight, coming on a Tuesday night and hearing my lecture, that's critical to doing well on the exams. I mentioned to you last week that when they first premiered this class out of this textbook, most of the students failed the first exam. So the teachers went back and said, okay, we're going to give you another chance. And they actually did a review of how to do things and with a practice sheet and re-gave them the test. And most of the students all passed the test. Ever since then, I have been doing it just like this, where I will always offer a review the Tuesday of the exam or sometimes the Tuesday before the week of the exam. But I'll always offer some kind of a review. It's really important that you get to that. Now, if you're going to miss it because you just can't be there that night, send me an email and I will try to remember to record it like I'm doing this tonight. Okay. Last announcement. I want to remind you guys of something I've said before. I think I've already mentioned it tonight. Sometimes your homework will be confusing, okay? And it's because of the textbook. A lot of it is. So just do the best you can. Sometimes you can shoot me a question and say, hey, I don't understand how to do the book homework, chapter 1.2, question number 5. And I can send you back an email that day, giving you a couple of tips. But just do the best you can, okay? And then move on. That's why I wrote move on here. I don't want you spending hours on one problem. That wouldn't be a good use of your time. All right. So those are the 3 reminder type announcements. All right. I want to talk to you now about how do you do fractions on a calculator. Now, at this point, you should have, how are we doing for time? Let's see here. I've got so many things plugged in here. I'm going to unplug this one here. Hang on a second. This is what happens when I got a lot going on here. Unplug one thing. And I'm going to plug in something different. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit. Now I have a video that I put in Canvas for you that shows you how to do this, but I wanted to, I'm going to stop my sharing for a second. I'm going to select my video. Hopefully I've got, see if I can question. Okay, that's just our cake discussion. I'm going to pick this camera here, and it should go like that. Good. I'm going to pin the video. I'm going to make it bigger, and then I'm going to move my laptop out of the way. Sorry guys, I just have literally, I got a lot of stuff plugged in here. It's pretty impressive actually. All right, why did that happen like that? Hang on a second. Okay, all right, now I'm back here. This here is a calculator, okay? You guys can hopefully see it okay. I think you can. I'm gonna raise up my camera a little bit so you get a little bit of a bigger angle. All right, I'm just gonna kind of do a little quick review here of adding fractions. You see my calendar over there, okay. Turn on my calculator and press clear at the same time, and that kind of clears everything out there. All right. If I'm adding just two fractions, like 1/2, let's say I had the fraction 1/2 plus, I've got a couple of examples actually here. Yeah, let me just show you right here. 1/2 plus 3/4, okay? You see that fraction there, 1/2 plus 3/4. If I was asked to add that, here's what I would do on a calculator. I'm going to press this 1/2 symbol here, which is, yeah, right here. I mean, this fraction symbol here. See this little thing that looks like a fraction right here that's under my finger, okay? I'm going to press that, and you can see in my calculator, see if I can, there, you see how it's kind of blinking? I got a denominator. So I'm going to press a 1, and then I got to use this toggle switch over here. This goes to the right, left, up, or down. I'm going to press down, and I'm going to enter the 2. Now I have my fraction. Now I'm going to do the toggle switch again, toggle over. Now I'm out of the fraction. And I said plus, what was it? 1/2 plus 3, or times 3/4. Okay, so times. I'm going to press times. And then I'm doing a fraction again. So I'm going to press my fraction thing on my calculator. There it is, 1/2. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the fraction 3. I got to get underneath that. So I press the toggle switch here, this little toggle thing here, toggle down. See how it's blinking underneath the 3 again? Okay. I'm going to put a 4. I got to get out of the fraction. So I press over, the over arrow here. I'm going to toggle over, and I'm going to press enters or equals. Okay. Now that got me 3/8. Okay. So that was 1/2 times 3/4. That's how I would do fractions. All right. Same if I was adding, same if I was dividing or subtracting or multiplying. It's that same process of doing just basic fractions. All right. Now I'm going to press my on and my clear thing at the same time, because that clears everything out, and it says memory cleared. That's how you clear, make sure it's all cleared. What would you do, however, if the teacher threw this at you? Do 5/2 divided by 3 3/4. How would I do that on my calculator? Okay. If you wanted to write that down, you could 5 1/2 divided by 3 3/4. Now, here's the little trick. So I had 5/2. So I'm going to type 5. Then what I got to do is, since I have a mixed fraction here, I got to press this second key here. It's basically, it's turning the keys to a second option. So I press second, and then I press my my fraction button here. See how the fraction popped up? So 5 1/2. So I put a 1, down arrow, 2, got to get out of my fraction. So I press my over arrow, my over thing here. And this was divided by, so I'm going to press the divided symbol. 3. So I got it's 3 3/4. So I put the 3 in. There's my 3. This is a mixed fraction. So I got to press the second hand again. By the way, this video is in your class in Canvas in week 1. There's a video showing how to do fractions on a calculator. Second, and then I press my fraction symbol again. And then it was 3/4. So 3, down, 4. Get out of the fraction by pressing the over arrow. Press enter, and I get 22/15. Okay. Now that's an improper fraction right there, 22/15. If I wanted to convert that to a mixed fraction, I could do it in my head. 15 goes into 22 one time, and there's 7 left over, so it's 1 7/15. Okay. But there's a way you can do it on the calculator as well. If you have a mixed or an improper fraction like that, okay, if you press the second key again, and then press this one right down here, it kind of looks like it's dealing with all this stuff. It's this one right here in the middle here. See how it looks like it's got like this mixed fraction thing here? Press that and then press enter. And it changed it to 1 7/15. Magic, okay? So again, so if I had an improper fraction like 7 or 22/15 up there, if I press the second key and then this one right here on your TI-30XS, okay, it looks like a mixed fraction here, and then enter, and it turned it into a mixed fraction. All right, let's say I decided I wanted to turn that into a decimal, okay? If I press this little toggle switch here, I'm going to press it. Watch what happens. It turned it into 1.466666667. Wow, it's surprising there's a 7 at the end of there. So that's how you convert a fraction to a decimal, is you hit this little, once you get an answer, you hit this little toggle switch right here. And if I want to go back to a fraction, I can hit it again. And it turned it back into a fraction again, okay? So that's a little bit how to do things on a calculator. And again, there are videos for you in my class. Week 1, you'll see videos on how to use a calculator to do fractions. I do want to show you something else here. Let me see. What did I do? There's a pencil. Hang on a second. I cannot believe. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope you guys can hear me okay. I think you can. Got my mic going here. I want to talk about something called scaling. You might want to copy this down here. Yeah, doing things by hand here now. Scaling is also just a concept. It's related to equivalent fractions, okay? So on the screen here, I have 1/3. It's the same thing as 3/9. And these are all the same thing as 9/2. Okay, you can't see my screen, Olivia. Okay, let me see. How about the rest of you guys? Can you see my screen? I'm going to, I gotta stop here. Sorry, that kind of messes everything up for me for a second here. Because I need to know if you guys can see my screen. So how about the rest of you guys? Can you see it? Most of you guys can? Okay, so most of you can. Okay. All right. So there are some things I can't just fix. Sometimes it just has to do with a student's computer. So I'm gonna continue, guys. Sorry. All right. So there it is. There's my. All right. Okay. So I've got here scaling. So I know that 1/3 is the same thing as 3/9, which is the same thing as 3/27. Why do I know that? Because if I multiply 3 times 3, okay, let me write here, that equals 9. So I multiply the top number times 3, and that equals 3. If I multiply both these times 3, I get 27 and I get 9, okay? So these are equals. They are equivalent fractions. That's why it says equivalent, okay? Now, you're going to run into this you'll have this on your first exam, a problem like this, okay? And in your homework. 2/5 equals what over 10? You might recognize this if you took TS 60. Here's what I do. I look at these denominators and it says equal, okay? How did the 5 become a 10? I must have multiplied it by a 2, excuse me, okay? So whatever I did there, I do it times the top and I get 4. Okay, that's going to give me 4. All right. Then it says 4/10 equals something over 30, okay? How did the 10 become a 30? I multiplied it by 3. So I multiply the top number by 30 and I get 12. All right. Now, the next one, I'm scaling here still. This is called scaling. I got 12 over 30 equals something over 15. Uh-oh, the 30 went down. It became 15. How did 30 get cut in half? I divided it by 2. That's what I did. I must have divided 30 by 2 to get it to be 15. So I got to do the same thing to the top number. I divide it by 2 and I get 6. So 2/5 equals 4/10, which equals 12/30, which is the same as 6/15. Okay. That's called scaling. And anyway, that's just a little bit about how to do some scaling on a calculator. All right. Now I'm going to jump back into my regular screen here. Okay. So hang on a second as I switch. Like I said, I don't have enough ports. So I'm going to unplug one thing and plug something else in. And we're going to talk about the next chapter, I think. That's what we're going to do. So let me just switch these. Okay. Hope you guys are doing okay out there in the world. Okay. Oh. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So let me switch cameras here. There's me. All right. Hi, everybody. All right. Sorry. I'm having too much fun here. Share screen. And we'll be there in just a second. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right, next chapter. All right, okay, we're seeing that okay, guys, on the screen? I've got what's on the screen. I think it should be fine. You should be okay. All right, there's a lot there to copy down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to copy down. Just take your time. Don't panic. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to copy down what you see on the screen here. It's a lot, but while you're copying that down, I will make sure I got all my wires in the right place here. Yeah. I'll give you another 30 seconds or so here. Again, this is like if you had a textbook in front of you, these are like the next page in the textbook, and here's a drawing you might see, and we're going to talk about what it means. So you'll have your own textbook will be now your notes that you're taking here. And that becomes your textbook to study for your homework, to help you with your homework, to study for exams. Yeah, that's what it is. All right. I'll give you another 30 seconds. Okay, guys, are we okay? Are you guys doing all right there? Give you enough time to kind of copy down this busy slide here. Yeah, I hope that you guys are okay. All right. So this is the chapter is 1.3. It's on this thing called the Cartesian coordinate system. Okay. They use coordinate graphing in mathematics, science, search and rescue, mapping, all kinds of things. Okay. And, normally you'd have, everything that's over here to the left of the 0 is negative numbers, and everything over here to the right is positive numbers. Everything above the 0 is positive, and everything below 0 is the negative. You guys kind of are familiar with, if I had a thermometer here, this is my amazing drawing of a thermometer here, and this is like 0 degrees here, and this is 32 Fahrenheit here, okay, and this was 64 degrees, okay. You know that this might be minus 32, that's cold, by the way, and this might be minus 64. That's the way a thermometer works, right? Taking temperature, well, that's negative and positive numbers, which we'll get into more, by the way, in a later chapter. But so when you write coordinates, when you put a dot on a set of coordinates, you write coordinates like this, like 3. Well, actually, no. Let me just start talking about the whole coordinate thing first. The first thing I want to show you is that you got something called an x-axis. Okay. Everything that is on the horizontal line, anytime I'm moving forward or back in this class and in other algebra classes, horizontally, we're moving forward or back. We're talking about something on the x-axis. Okay. Anything that goes up or down on the vertical axis is called the y-axis here, and that's why I have it labeled y-axis here. So if I said 3, 2, for instance, if I gave you the coordinates 3, comma, 2. All right. Here's how you write coordinates. You put them in parentheses with a comma between them. And what I'm going to do is the first number is the x-axis. The first number you give is on the x-axis. And then the second number is on the y-axis. So in this case, I'm going to make this a y because it matches the other. This is my y here, okay? That's how you list coordinates. You always list them in parentheses using the x coordinate first and the y coordinate second, okay? So sorry if this y looks more like an x. I want to make sure it doesn't. All right, so, all right. Now, another thing I want to talk to you about is quadrants, okay? What they label the first box here, this whole first section over here, quadrant 1. And the reason why, if you're wondering, why don't they just be normal? Like I wouldn't go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wouldn't that make sense? Because most of math and science takes place when you're charting things within a graph that starts on this side here. Things are growing from day 1 to day 2 and growing on a chart, okay? So I think that's why they started calling, well, that's quadrant 1. That's the normal first place you look. However, if things go negative, They came up with quadrant 2. And then quadrant 3, if negative, negative, okay. And then quadrant 4, that's how they label them all. And by the way, that will be in your homework today and this week, and it'll also be on a quiz, your first exam. So just kind of get familiar. You got it in your notes. You can use your notes in your homework, and you'll practice enough times, you'll kind of get 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the quadrants. Now, look over here in the far right. If they ask you to plot, which means put dots on the graph, that's what plot means. Put dots where they go, okay? Plot A3. Could you now, on your own paper, on your own notes, could you put a dot that is at A, A, could you put a dot at 2, 3? I'm going to give you about 5 seconds. See if you can put a dot on your graph at 2. Remember, the 2 is the X, the 3 is the Y, okay? All the way down. All right, that's 5 seconds. I would start on my x-axis and go over 2 because it's a positive 2 and it's a 3. It's up 3. This is about, whoops, yeah, that's about where I put my dot, right about there. That's 2 over. That is coordinate A, okay? It's at 2, 3. And if I wrote the coordinates next to it again, I would write 2, that's 2, positive 3. All right, can you guys plot B, C, and D? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to put B, C, and D on the chart. Okay, I'm going to take B here. And B, it says, is negative 3. That's the one on the X. So I'm going to go back 3 here, up 4, positive 4. So it should be right about there. Okay. That is point B. That is, as a coordinate, negative 3, comma 4. That's what that coordinate is. Okay. The next one is negative 4, negative 1. C is negative 4. So on the x-axis, I go back 4, down 1. It'd be about right here. That is point C. D says 3, 0. Okay. So on the x-axis, the first number is 3. Go over 3, and it says 0. So that means I don't go anywhere. I stay right here at the 0. I'm going to put that right there, nice and big here. That's coordinate. That's point D here, okay? That's 3, 0. Now, I want to show you something. All right, that's A, B, C, and D. Yeah, that's a terrible looking D, by the way. I apologize. Now, if they ask you, what quadrant is A in? Okay, what quadrant is A in? You'd say 1. What quadrant is B in? You'd say quadrant 2. What quadrant is C in? You'd say quadrant 3. What quadrant is D in? Trick question. Look at D here. What quadrant is it in? Here's what you would write on your paper, if you're doing your homework, I'm sorry, and typing your answer, or on an exam. It's not in any of the quadrants. It's on a line. So you would just say, you might just write like this, on x-axis. That's telling the teacher that it's not in any of the quadrants. It's on this coordinate right here. This point right here is on the x-axis. If I had 0, let's say I had the coordinates 0, comma, negative 3. I don't go anywhere on the x-axis. I stay at 0, go down 3. It would be plotted right there. That's where it would be. What quadrant is it in? I would say it's on the y-axis, okay? That's how I would answer that question. It's not in any of the quadrants. It's on the y-axis, okay? That one right there. All right, I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm doing okay here, guys. I hope you guys are hearing me okay. I'm going to move on to the next concept. All right, here's what I want you to do. It's like a little quiz here. I think we're doing great for time here. That's fantastic. I hope I don't have another slideshow after this. Do I? Nope, this is it. It says to name the coordinates. All right, okay. So if you want to write that down, what I'm going to do is watch what happens when I hit this. What happens here? Boom. Does that make it bigger? Is it working? No. Does that work? That work? That's better. All right. Name the coordinates. See how I put this on a grid here? So for point A here, okay, what coordinates is it at? Is this going to work? Oh, I've got to choose a pen here. Choose a pen. Come on. Pick a color. Let's pick red. So the coordinates for this A here are, if you had to write the coordinates, okay, could you write down what A is here? This one right here. Here's what I would do. I would go, okay, I went back 4, -4. So my x-axis is -4. My y-axis is I went up 2, +2. Those are the coordinates for point A. For point B there, hopefully you guys can still see that okay, down here at the bottom of the screen. My x-axis is 0. My y-axis is -4. That's what B is. And C here is my x-axis is 6, and my y-axis is 0. And that's how I would label those coordinates. Okay, that's how I would label A, B, and C. And again, what quadrant is A in? It's in quadrant 2. Okay, Q2. What quadrant is B in? B is on the y-axis. What quadrant is C in? It's not. It's on the x-axis. Okay? All right, cool. That's what it would look like. All right, so, and I think that is it, folks. Now, let me come back to my face. Let me, hang on a second here. Let me unplug this. And this is what happens when you have so many things to plug in, guys. Yeah, okay. But I think we're doing okay. I think it's working out okay. The nice thing about all these things I'm plugging in is I think that visually for you all, it's easier to see than regular notes. So first thing I'm going to do is stop my sharing. I'm going to, did I go to the right microphone? Oh, I got to select the right microphone. I'm going to turn off my recording.